What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So we're about 11 days away from the release of Gotham Knight, and there is something that I have made multiple videos about, but we still have not gotten a response, or at least anything official, because it's one of those things where if you're playing on the platform for PC requirements are kind of one of these recommendations or suggestions that'd be nice to have, and usually a lot of developers will do performance trailers with stuff like this. Now, this is also something that I don't necessarily think seems to be a big deal at the moment, and the reason why is because from the previews, we got to see gameplay on PC, and boy, did it look really, really good. I remember even the gameplays that I got to see, one of them was from a gentleman named Bruce from, I think, Funhouse back in the day. His gameplay was PC based, and it seemed like everything was so smooth in the way that it was running, but they also had to play the game over a specific network protocol. And so that's also another thing. So I guess if you remove the latency and maybe possible delays or lags from that protocol that you can get or develop while playing the game, you can probably say you're going to get better responsiveness, but not until we start seeing some more technical previews are we going to be able to figure out exactly what's going on. I also think the reviews will probably give some kind of a benchmark in a sense, depending on the machine the reviewers are using, and give some visuals and some fidelity checks that you can do to know how it's going to probably play on your machine. And that is if YouTube doesn't scale down their video and you can't really tell the difference between all of the above. It's a very interesting place to be. A lot of video games that are going to be balanced across the board will have all kinds of different interesting things to go about it. Even though the game is now on the current gen consoles, it's actually 3 consoles versus 2 consoles, because the Xbox Series S brings in an entirely different set of limitations in its own right, because it is an entry-level type of console to be able to still get you into this new generation thing that they're talking about in the console side. And so this is why I think it's very important at the moment that this is information that we get very soon. But it seems to me that we're going to be having potentially daily or twice I don't know, maybe twice a week drops before we get to the release date, or maybe we'll be getting a drop every 2 days, and we might possibly see this information. When it comes to, say, my own setup, I think my setup should be ready to play the game, but I don't want to go ahead and, make any conclusions, even though, deep down inside, I'm like, yeah, I should be able to play it. But there are people who are still in the market for computer components, computer parts. There are people who have existing computer components and computer parts that might be looking to, in a sense, go ahead and start making contingencies right now to get their rigs all set up. And the reason I'm saying this is because as of now, the market has actually changed significantly. One really crazy thing that we've seen in the past few years and the past few days is actually the prices of graphics card actually coming down significantly. If you go on sites like Newegg, you go on sites like, say, even Amazon, you're going to be able to see that pricing is in an interesting place right now. The price points of a lot of these different computer components seem to have just, in a sense, melted off percentages of their preliminary prices over a few months ago. Graphics cards that used to cost thousands of dollars have basically made their way into the hundreds, and those that cost in the high hundreds are now sitting very pretty. I'll give a few examples just to kind of give you an outlook. If you say maybe if you're wanting to game on the AMD Radeon platform, we're now seeing graphics cards like the 6900, which is actually one of the top of the line graphics cards from the AMD lineup, going for somewhere around under $700 in some cases. Yes, you'll probably find some for $700 and here and there, but if you pay very close attention, you can find some for under $700, which is insane in my mind, because these graphics cards were going for $1,200, $1,300 just a few months ago. I'm talking as early as February, March in the same calendar year. These prices don't usually adjust that much, but with all the global economic issues that are coming into place, I think it's starting to make sense. And then on the NVIDIA side, if you look at, say, you want to go, say, what is currently in the market, the top of the line, which is the 3090, I almost said the 3900, the 3090 and the 3090 Ti, you're looking at, say, somewhere around the, $900 to $1,000 mark. Now, granted, the 4090s are going to be coming out, say, at the $1,500 price point. If you can find one at that point, good on you. But I think those with the other parameters are probably going to scale really high when they get released. So it's nice for you to be able to get the, recommendations early, because again, another thing too is, RAM specifications may also be something that you can benefit from. Overall, we've seen things like RAM be one of the best items right now to purchase on the DDR4 platform. And so if maybe you were in a position you were using 8 gigs of RAM, you can also find out, okay, if the recommended amount of RAM is 8 or 16 gigs, you can pretty much make the, call to improve your RAM or increase your RAM for a very small fee at the present moment. And if you actually are maybe in a good spot and you decide you want to maybe multitask a little bit while you're gaming, you want to be able to have a little bit more leeway and better performance, you can also take advantage of these prices for RAM and then eventually go ahead and boost your computer a little bit. Then you also have the new CPUs and so on and so forth. And it just kind of continues to scale in that format with the PC side. With the console side, we need to also figure out what's going on with performance and understand and know what the performance limitations or at least the performance caps will be on the different consoles. I mentioned the Series S bringing some limitations, but the Series X and the PS5 usually perform very similar in many video games. So what are we looking at? Are we looking at 4K 60 FPS target? Are we looking at 4K 30 FPS target? Or are we looking at 60 FPS regardless? And then, depending on your settings, the game is going to be responsive in those different settings. It's also another thing where the different consoles respond differently with displays of different resolutions. And so that's another thing console players will be looking forward to. But by and large, I think this game is going to run as a much more enhanced version of a game that is for last gen. This is just the reality. I mean, for some, you may be saying things like, well, Gotham Knights doesn't look like a next-gen game, but because it was made for last gen, just happened to be last-gen consoles, were not necessarily being friendly in terms of optimization. So they decided we're just going to scrap that. And instead of spending more time dealing with that, let's just move on. It's a huge loss that they're taking in this case because you're abandoning 100+ million PlayStation consoles. That's not even to talk about the Xbox consoles of that generation. But it is something that they decided it was pertinent or best for them to be able to go ahead and get the game out there. And eventually, consoles are going to catch up. People are going to get their hands on one. Prices are actually looking pretty decent on the console market right now. I know many people might be saying that, the PlayStation 5s are not really easy to get, but that has been a myth for actually a few months. I didn't want to say anything because regionally it's different. But we've been seeing PlayStation 5s show up in Walmart stores and even a lot of different general locations. I think people just probably kept maybe saying that because they were in different areas. But one day I went into my local Walmart and I saw a bunch of Xboxes and I didn't even believe they were PlayStations. I just started looking around and I called the clerk and said, hey, do you guys by any chance have any PlayStation 5s? And they looked at me like, hey, look over there. And I was like, whoa, there are a bunch of PS5s in there. And if you don't want to spend the money for the PS5 and you think it's a premium over your PS4, you can right now purchase an Xbox Series S. In fact, yesterday at GameStop, an Xbox Series S in a pre-owned section costs less than a PlayStation 4 Pro. Now, PlayStation 4 Pro is a decent machine, but it's not going to do anything for you when it comes to playing Gotham Knights or even other exclusive current-gen games. So I think that's just a fad right now that a PlayStation 4 Pro or a PlayStation 4 is really going to help you. We're going to see many studios continue from here on out not having a video game available for that console. Spider-Man 2 is not going to have a PS4 version that we know of anyways. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is not going to have a PS4 version that we know of. And a lot of these other superhero games that have been teased or revealed or announced, like Black Panther, the Captain America Black Panther Fusion game, and so on and so forth, are probably going to be exclusive to the current gen consoles, unless, of course, they've already started a lot of work and decide that they'll be able to scale it to those other consoles in order to have more sales. So keep your fingers crossed if you're probably limited by this. I'm not saying everybody's in a position to get these consoles, but it's something that you have to pay very close attention to. Anyways, that's pretty much my video. I really appreciate you guys' time and audience. Thank you so much for watching the video. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. PC gamers, console gamers, what are your expectations and what are the things that you still feel is missing in terms of presentation that you're looking forward to? Talk to you guys later. Peace out.